When the United States announced plans to withdraw from Afghanistan at the end of 2014, the Obama administration said that a significant residual force would stay behind to advise and train the Afghan military to assist them in the fight against Islamic terror groups. But now, incredibly, a zero option is being seriously considered. In other words, no troops left in Afghanistan at all at the end of 2014. Negotiations with the Afghan president, Hamid Karzai, over the long-term status of American forces have been dragging on for months. And in June, President Karzai unexpectedly broke off talks altogether after a blow-up over the Taliban's new office in Doha, Qatar. So, is history repeating itself? Is the United States preparing to abandon Afghanistan once again? Peter Bergen is CNN's national security analyst, and he's written extensively about the region, and his book, Manhunt, is the definitive account of the search for Osama bin Laden. He joins me from our Washington bureau. Peter, it is good to see you.
Christian, great to see you.
What is your reaction to now what's not sort of a last option, but a viable option now, zero forces in Afghanistan at the end of 2014?
Well, Christian, I think it's a mistake. I mean, you've been to Afghanistan frequently, and there's a kind of narrative about what the United States has done in Afghanistan, which is we abandoned them in 1989 after they helped defeat the Soviets, and we helped them with that project. We closed our embassy, we zeroed out aid, and then we, sort of did nation building on the cheap in the initial stages of the George W. Bush administration in 2001, 2002. So Afghans are very concerned about that we're going to sort of pull the plug again, turn off the lights. And I think a public discussion of the zero option by the Obama administration, I don't even really understand why, if you're even going to do that, just do it. Don't talk about it for months and months. I mean, the real problem in Afghanistan is a kind of political crisis of, what is the future going to hold? And we keep saying some very conflicting things about what we're planning to do. And Afghans are understandably confused.
So why is it happening? I can't for the life of me figure out why, after making such a huge commitment to really remaining. And by the way, let me just play you a little bit of an interview I did in this regard with the new special envoy for Afghanistan, James Dobbins.
We're no longer going to be, after the end of next year, in a combat role vis-a-vis the Taliban. But we will have a significant residual American military and civilian presence. We'll have a large assistance program, including a military assistance program. We'll have American soldiers who will be advising and training Afghan units. So there'll be a fairly significant residual American presence and commitment.
So that was a mere 10 days ago. What's happened? I mean, that's the new Afghan envoy, AFPAC as it's called, for the Obama administration. What's happened in the last 10 days?
Well, I mean, I think that clip is very instructive because, I mean, if we're confused by that, imagine what the Afghans are, feel. Here's the main diplomat saying we're going to be there in substantial numbers, and then stories in the New York Times and now also on CNN about the zero option. But I think what's changed, as far as I can tell, is that the Obama administration is extremely angry with President Karzai. And it's almost in a fit of pique that this zero option seems to become more serious. But also there may have been, I think there's long been a split in the Obama administration, as you know, Christian, between those who always favored either, a light or zero presence, and those who wanted something more substantial, and the people who are advocating for something pretty small are clearly, at the moment winning the debate internally.
So tell me then, what would happen if the zero option was implemented? What would the fallout be? What are the risks of that as we stand right now?
Well, I mean, I think, let's start with the fact that our NATO allies are going to head for the exits immediately themselves. I mean, if the United States is not going to, have any kind of presence at all, why would Britain, Germany, Italy, or any of the other 40 countries that are presently in Afghanistan in some shape or form also involve themselves? And then, of course, it signals to the Taliban, that basically, that they may have a pretty free reign. It signals to Pakistan that we're not serious about maintaining some sort of role in the region. And it's most importantly signals the Afghan government that we're basically washing their hands, and the Afghan people that we're washing our hands of them. I think it's very unfortunate.
And let's say we wash our hands and we leave and we send all the wrong signals. Physically on the ground, what will it look like? Are the Afghan forces ready? Is the Taliban going to, roar back and snatch a victory? What will happen without any U.S. forces there?
Well, I think the Taliban, you know, it's a force of about 35,000 men. It's clearly able to hold rural areas. Even if we left completely tomorrow, it's not like they'd be able to take Kabul. There's a substantial Afghan army and police force, 350,000 strong. There's sort of a debate about their capabilities. On the one hand, Afghan army units aren't really able to operate very independently of NATO air cover and other forms of support. But on the other hand, we've seen a lot of Afghan provinces being transferred to Afghan military kind of control, and that's gone somewhat well. So, you know, the Afghan National Army is clearly a work in progress. But if we, and when I say we, the United States and its NATO allies and other countries just aren't there on December 31st, 2014, I don't think that's at all helpful for the Afghan National Army.
And at this point, do you think that there's any chance of any kind of, I don't know, negotiations between the Taliban and the Afghan government, with the U.S. playing the role? I mean, everything seems to have just blown up in the last few days over that.
Blown up, I think, is a very good characterization. Everything's blown up. All the different parties seem to be very angry with each other. There is one major American negotiation with the Taliban over something very concrete, which I think will go forward, which is we have one American POW, Bo Bergdahl, who's still been in the hands of the Taliban now for more than 4 years. The Taliban want 5 senior Taliban officials in Guantanamo to be released to be, they would go to Qatar, where the Taliban office is, and be under some sort of house arrest. That negotiation, I think, is likely to proceed because it's very concrete, and both sides want something very specific that is doable potentially.
And that might unlock the current impasse.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a big confidence-building measure.
Incredible. A work in progress. Peter Bergen, thank you very much, as always, for that insight.